सुसाइड के लिए आजकल हम देखते हैं कि सुसाइड रेट बढ़ती जा रही है। अभी अभी पिछले 4-5 महीनों में इंदौर में हाई राइज बिल्डिंग से जाके और छलांग मारने का सिस्टम आता जा रहा है। पहले कभी नहीं था इंदौर में। तो अभी 5 महीनों में 6 महीनों में 4-5 एक्सपायर हो चुकी हैं बच्चियां। मैं नहीं जानता कि वो कौन सा कारण होता होगा जिसके कारण आदमी अपनी जिंदगी को दांव पे लगा देता है। लेकिन ये एक बात बिल्कुल सही है कि यदि वो हीट ऑफ द मोमेंट निकल जाए तो 80% सुसाइड बच जाए। वो हीट ऑफ द मूवमेंट जो है, जो 11th आवर पे बिल्कुल आदमी के माथे पर शैतान बन के सवार रहते हैं, वो यदि चीज निकल जाए तो शायद हमारे 80% केस मर्डर के और सुसाइड के दोनों को ही कम हो जाए। मर्डर करना सुसाइड करने से बड़ा इजी है, क्योंकि एक में हमें खुद को नष्ट करने का ऐसा फालतू जज्बा जो हमारे नजर में जाने कहां से बस जाता है, कौन उसको प्रमोट करता है, कौन उसको फोर्स करता है, उन सबके ऊपर केस होने चाहिए। आजकल कानून में होता भी है। तो सुसाइड के लिए हम हमेशा विरोध करते हैं। जीवन भगवान की प्रदत्त चीज है। ये जीवन हमें लेने का अधिकार नहीं है, चाहे वो किसी दूसरे का हो, चाहे वो किसी स्वयं का हो। ये जीवन जिसने लिया है वो उचित समय पर इस पृथ्वी पर हमारा पूरा अभिनय कराकर वो हमारे एक्सपायरी डेट अप्रूव कर देगा। हमें उसमें कष्ट करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं। तो इसी विषय पे मैं तो आश्चर्य कर रहा हूँ कि सुतपा जी का नाम क्यों नहीं है आज। मैं ऐड कर दूंगा, चिंता मत कीजिए। लेकिन आज सुतपा जी भी साइकोलॉजी से हमारे साथ हैं। सैकत जी, सुपर्णा जी, आप दोनों को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत आभार। अब मैं आदरणीय अग्निहोत्री सर से आज इंडिपेंडेंट रिसर्च एथिक्स सोसाइटी की आयुष समृद्धि की 1755वीं ज्ञान गंगा में पुनः स्वागत करने का प्रार्थना करता
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर पवन शर्मा जी। सच्ची बात है, हम लोग बहुत तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं और अभी 1700 पहुंचे थे। 1755वीं आज हमारी आपकी तीसरी वेबिनार हो रही है। टॉपिक बहुत ही मैंने गमगीन करने वाला है, बहुत ही दुखी करने वाला है। किसी को कोई भी जो श्रेष्ठ नागरिक है वो कभी भी नहीं चाहेगा कि उसके किसी जानकारी में या उसके कारण किसी की मौत हो जाए, अकाल मृत्यु हो, और ऊपर से स्वयं जो अपना सेल्फ इम्यूलेशन करते हैं वो तो और भी ज्यादा खतरनाक है। ऐसे आपने इंदौर की बात बताई, हम दोस्ते इससे कुछ ही महीने, शायद 1 महीना शायद हुआ। अभी मैं कहा था 5 से 6 साल के बच्चे ने सुसाइड की, पता नहीं क्या था, स्कूल कोई शुरुआत थी। उनको तो इतने अबोध बच्चे हैं, समझ ही नहीं पाते उनको क्या ऐसे बाउट ऑफ एंगर आता है या क्या आता है, इस वजह से वो करते हैं। मोर जो हम देख पा रहे हैं, कुछ तो एक्सीडेंटल हो जाते हैं आजकल, वो मीम बनाने के चक्कर में या कोई रील बनाने के चक्कर में, ऐसा बहुत ही खतरनाक जगह पे खड़े होके गंगा किनारे या किसी वाटरफॉल के पास करके, तो उसमें तो एक्सीडेंटली स्लिप हुए हो गए। तो वो भी हो रहा है। लेकिन जो एक मनोवैज्ञानिक रूप से इसका जो एस्पेक्ट है, ये मनोवैज्ञानिक रूप से सुसाइडल टेंडेंसी क्यों बनती है, ये इससे पीछे फ्रस्ट्रेशन, डिप्रेशन, डांट दिया पेरेंट्स ने या स्कूल में डांट दिया, अच्छा मोबाइल नहीं मिला, और कुछ और बराबरी वाली बातें नहीं हो पाई अपने साथियों के साथ, तो ये काम बहुत बुरी तरीके से आजकल आगे बढ़ रहा है। पीछे भी हमने एक बार जिक्र किया था कि बढ़िया मोबाइल कंपेरेटिवली नहीं मिल पाया तो सुसाइड कर लिया, और आप देखते थे IAS और उसका सबका। तो इसको किस, आपने कहा ना कि जो हाई टेम्पर टाइम होता है उसको अवॉइड किया जा सके, तो वो सही बात है। वो अगर अवॉइड हो जाता है तो निश्चित रूप से एक समय अगर अवॉइड हुआ तो जान बच जाती है, ऐसा मानते हैं। तो वैचारिक परिवर्तन कर ही सकते हैं, ठंडा पानी पिला के या सिचुएशन को एकदम अवॉइड करके, या उसको वहां से हटाए। जो जो थोड़ा एजाइल हो रहा है, जिसके लिए ये उम्मीद है कि वो थोड़ा सा वायलेंस कर सकता है, अपने सेल्फ वायलेंस भी कर सकता है, तो ऐसे में सिचुएशन को अगर चेंज करने की कोई विधा हो तो बात बनती है। मैं आज के अपने अतिथि वक्ताओं का बड़े हृदय से स्वागत करते हैं। मैं डॉक्टर शेखर बसु जी है, मैडम डॉक्टर सुपर्णा सान्याल मुखर्जी जी है, और सुतपा वर्धन मैडम भी है, जो अपने सभी अपनी अपनी विधाओं के एक्सपर्ट हैं, अपनी नई कॉन्सेप्ट को देंगे इसमें। कि आप कुछ सामाजिक सामाजिक लोग कुछ इसमें हेल्प कर सकते हैं। आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद है और स्वागत है इसी की शुरुआत के साथ है। आगे की कार्रवाई के लिए प्रोफेसर शर्मा जी से निवेदन करते हैं। नमस्कार।
नमस्कार जी। मैं डॉक्टर सुपर्णा सान्याल मैडम को सादर आमंत्रित करता हूँ और सुतपा जी से भी प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि वो भी इस टॉपिक पे अपने प्रवचन जरूर दें।
या नमस्ते, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू जी, जरूर आइएगा। सुपर्णा जी मैडम, मैडम सुपर्णा सान्याल जी।
Namaste. Thank you very much once again to give me such an opportunity to say something on this very interesting and burning topic. Basically, we have seen and 10th September 2024 and all over the world is observing, and it has been celebrated or mentioned, or it has been identified as a World Suicide Day. Suicide is a very burning topic, and it has been observed per year 7 lakhs people all over the world committed suicide. The rate has been observed age between 15 to 29 years, the people committed suicide. What is the main cause and main aspect inquisition? That means the interesting, and it has the research is needed, and research has done on this aspect. Cause behind. So there is so many experts who in front of the mental health and mental provisions and mental conditions, they will say that it is a mental problem. But to some extent, it has been observed that it may not be the mental problem. Rather, it can consider being a genetic problem. So why people suicide? In that cases, there is a causes like we can feel that there is so many problems. Suddenly they can commit suicide, and suddenly they have shocked, the mental shock or the physical shock, and there is no other way. So the people committed suicide. But uh, it is proved that those who wanted to commit suicide, and if the persons may failure once in life, the suicide enhance them and suicide just attract them. Because कोई अगर फेल हो जाए सुसाइड करने के लिए, but they recover, but it has been observed that the suicidal tendency is attract them to commit suicide. So suicide is a mental disorder. At the same time, it's a genetic disorder. It has been observed to this dermatographical identification. If we can see this, the fingerprints, if we can study the fingerprints, there is what is the cause and what the person has done, why this person has done. If there is any probabilities that there or not, we can easily countable for it. People has the tendency, not only the people, we can see that in human kingdom, it is very important that all the human people, all the human aspects, they have the tendency to go up, to go to the parabola, to reach to the highest position. And this, to reach to the highest position, they can do any kind of mischief or any kind of illegality, any kind of ill behavior with the person concerned. In the same cases, in man-woman relationship also, so one want to ditch the other and they want to get the other persons. So this is the system, this is the human behavior, human nature, because we are living in a learned society, and we are pointed out ourselves that we are the rich people, we are the very indigenous people, we are the very talented people, we have the own innovation, so we can go anywhere, any for any. But in that cases, the person, those who cannot tolerate this, and the situation in between the husband wife, there is a divorces are going on to get the other persons. The children are coming from the breaking family. So the children's psychological orientation, they are acquiring and they are accepting the stepfathers, and those stepfathers may look after the fatherhood or may not be. At the same time, the motherhood is also this, in doing this situation, whether they can accept it or not. So in every year, it has been also think that the World Suicide Prevention Day date and theme was there, that 2024 to 2026, the World Suicide Prevention Day has been observed, and it has been identified that changing the narrative on suicide with the call to action, the start the conservation. Uh, why is this? Because WHO is also accepted the theme, because the theme aims to raise awareness about reducing stigma and encourage open conversations to prevent suicide. According to WHO, they think that changing the narrative on suicide is about transforming how we perceive this complex issue and shifting from a culture of silence and stigma to one on openness. So understanding and support. So we should give the support to the person, those who are in the dwindle situation. There are various social causes, various legal causes. So when the people are not getting any kind of new way, they committed suicide. But there is always challenge. So the challenge is a health challenge. If there is a challenge, we have to accept the challenge. Though the challenge is on the basis of this, the International Association for Suicide Prevention was first established in 2003, and giving a singular message that suicides are preventable. And every year it aims to focus attention on issues to raise awareness among organizations and the governments and the public. So World Suicide Prevention Day, and what the main significance of this observing of this day is to generate awareness about the suicidal issues, which is one of the leading causes of death worldwide. It emphasizes the importance of mental health awarenesses and intervention and support for individuals who struggle with suicidal thoughts. This day encourages people to speak about their mental health, seeking help without shame. So there is, if there is some issues which cannot say, the person who cannot share with their mother or the elder sister or those who are close to them, then they are in the mental sickness. That mental sickness lead to the suicide. So it is very harmful, because suicide is a self-immolation. It is another way of to murder herself or himself. So this is if there is a law, if the person can recover from the suicide, it can be all right after to demolish him or her, the person will get the 7 years of imprisonment. So this is another way to attempt to murder in ourselves or the himself or the herself. So this is a mental sickness, and this is not only the mental sickness. It has been studied that those who have the genetic phenomenon, so the persons in the history of their family, if there is any person committed suicide, in the history repeats, the next generation or maybe the after 3 generations, the suicide may happen in that family. So this suicide is not that suddenly they have done it, but it is a planned suicide, which is called culpable suicide. So they can plan it, and they can take the opportunity, and they can demolish the person's or own self. So what is the main tips for this prevention of this suicide? Like seek help. So if the person is feeling lonely and any mental stress, and so they can take the help, or they can speak out, they can say the what is the problem is going on. Stay away from weapons, stay away from weapons. They cannot where the problem is creating, where the problem is going on, they should be stay away from the problem and avoid the problem. At the same time, to avoid the alcoholism, to avoid the smoking, to avoid the drug addiction, these are also the causes for intention for the suicidal attitude, generate the suicidal attitude. And the self-location, self-identification, and feel, and base point of this to prevent the suicide, to give the respect of own self, to give the respect, because if the person can respect them, because this birth is the birth, the highest birth or the most effective birth in the human kingdom. If we can respect ourselves, so people cannot should not go to the committed suicide, and people cannot go to the suicidal attitude. And keep yourself relaxed, where whatever problem may be, and if anyone want to ditch, so whatever problem is there, that should be at that time they should be the relax, the mental relaxation, and to avoid those persons, those who are giving you some problems, and those who are giving you, those who want to stoop down you, those who are taking advantage from you but not returning. So all these things you needed some Gita's slow, like life is a problem, you have to overcome it. Life is a game, you have to play it. Life is a sing, you have to song it. Life is a situation where you cannot go, you cannot get any friend, but you have to accept it. So life is a goal, you have to achieve it. So this goal, this life, whatever may be the achievement, and what I want to do, or anyone want to do to reach the achievement, they have to go far to achieve the goal. So this goal is needed, and every individual, if want to complete the masters, they should, if there it is a goal for them, they should prepare themselves, because when the journey, so the journey, everyone want to disturb you, and they would not allow you to reach to your goal. So if you are your mental preparation and you are determined, that means you can go. So we always think that Ramakrishna Paramahansa said that if you think whatever you are, you will be that. If I think myself I am a weaker, so I will be the weaker. If I think myself that I am not a weak, I am a strong person, I have the motivation and determination, I am a strong person, and I should achieve my goal. If anyone will toying your sentiment, if anyone trying to play your motivational effects, so just remove that person, stay away with that person. So anyone can reach their goal. So it is not the case the person can go to the suicide. And in that case, the young generation, like if the boyfriend would not get the girlfriend, they committed suicide, and girlfriend would not get the boyfriend, they can suicide. That is just lack of knowledge and courage. So, but at the same time, family should give them more attitude and more attention to their children, and their value education is needed, and moral education is needed. So every day they should go read the Ramayana and Mahabharata. So this Ramayana and Mahabharata, they can encourage themselves, they can enhance themselves, they can reach to their goals, and how the people are struggling, how the people are surviving in this world. We have to survive. So this is the main point, how we can prevent the suicidal tendency. But it's also happened, there are so many things also there, the persons are recovering, but at the same time, but ratio is deteriorating. through the knowledge and courage through proper education and support. So everyone should support the person, those who are in distress. Thank you very much. Thanks to the Ayush Samriddhi to giving me such an opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much. Best as always. Continuous. We are lucky that we will be listening you for next 2-3 days. Thank you so much. Agnihotri sir.
Great thing. Life is the thing we have to achieve. This is one thing. We have to live full life with some targets, some aims. Then only there will be no question and no disturbance, no worries to finish the life by violence and all that. It's a really good message that we are always supposed to follow the means rulings and guidance given by Ramayana and Gita. So it's a really great thing. And the positive thinking itself is one protractor which can prevent persons from committing such type of offense. So thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Yes. Over to Professor Panshamai.
नमस्कार जी, मैं डॉक्टर सैकत कुमार बसु को सादर आमंत्रित करता हूँ. Dr.
Thank you,
Saikat
Sharma ji. Sharma ji, I think I first like to congratulate Professor Mukherjee for giving such a positive, inspirational speech. I think if students and others who go through stress could have listened to her, I think they would be very, very much enthralled and enriched from this presentation. But I would rather like to conclude this session. May I request on your behalf, Sutpa ji to make her presentation at this point of time. She is in Bangalore.
Welcome.
She has taken a lot of time. In spite of her busy schedule, she will be soon leaving for Ireland, representing her profession down there. So in spite of her busy schedule, she has been kind enough to join us. So I humbly request her on behalf of AYUSH SAMRIDDHI to kindly make her presentation because she's on a busy schedule. So please, Sutpa ji, if you make your presentation, highlight something about suicide prevention. Thank you. She's there. Hello.
She's in our list and she has joined.
Yeah. Okay. Let us not waste time. I do not know. Maybe she's temporarily maybe off the line or something. I will start my part and stuff in between so that we do not waste the time in between. So I'm going to talk about my personal experience in the sense that not that I have tried to commit suicide, but personal experience in the sense that when I was a student and then in the university, they had a wonderful workshop that they conducted for the students about, to understand this process of suicide or why suicides happen. What I learned from that workshop, which was conducted by, there were some Canadian agency, there was FBI officials, retired FBI officials from USA who took part in this. And I think they gave a wonderful presentation about like the various reasons behind suicide. And once we understand this, clearly, I think it can act itself as a motivation for suicide prevention. So I'm going to highlight this. First, what I learned from them was that they said that all the suicides that we see around the world, not just USA, Canada, India, or otherwise, all the suicides that we see around the world are not actually suicides. Many of these cases are actually murders. Murders mean an individual has been murdered either by an individual or by a group of people, and later they fixed the crime scene in a way and they passed through the court process in the way proving that it was a suicide. Actually, it was a murder. But many such cases around the world which has been presented in the court and the court has accepted is a suicide is not actually a suicide. It's actually a staged murder done by very clever people. And this has been staged as a suicide because when there is a suicide, you do not get a murderer. Like there is no way to find a murderer and stuff behind this. So it is first important to know that every suicide that we hear about, whether in India or other countries, is not a true suicide. Many times there are political pressures, many times there are societal pressures, many times there are even a judiciary pressure, and many times there are celebrity pressure. People having a lot of money has committed a crime, killed someone, and that individual has been portrayed as a murderer. They have bribed and stuff, and they have gone through the court and survived. I mean, they have even able to misguide the justice system. This has happened around the world. This is happening. This will continue to happen. This is the stage. So first of all, if there is a data of 100 people committing suicide, they are saying at least 20 of these are genuine murders that has been passed through the court as a suicide by very clever planning. So this is number one. Not all suicides are suicides. Suicide means what? Killing myself. But all suicides are not suicides. So 20% of them is like a 20 to 30% is actually general murder. Number two is when there is a suicidal abatement. That means a situation has been created, an individual, no one wants to give her or her own life unless it is a martyr cause, like many of our freedom fighters have given up their life for a cause and stuff and things like that. That's a different issue. But people in general do not want to give up their life for, any random reason. So the second one is abatement. It is a crime. They are saying that this is also a kind of murder where an individual has been terrorized, has been pushed, has been forced, has been, pushed to that extent that he or she had to commit suicide. Many of our dowry deaths that we happen, or many of dowry related suicides that we see in India, fall in this category, where the victim has been pressurized by the society in such a bad way that they found that this is the only way for them to get out. Similarly, say an individual has involved in corruption, and finally there comes a point there is no place for them to hide. You are either getting arrested or you are going to be getting prosecuted. And under this duress or under this social or judicial pressure, many people have committed suicide. They are saying they may not have committed suicide on their own, but they have been pushed towards that extent by these external factors. This could be social factors, this could be emotional factors. There could be an individual who has been blackmailing them. There has been an incident. For example, many rape victims can, commit suicide around the world. Many helpless women has done this because they did not get justice from the judiciary system, and finally they feel helpless. And the stigma that is associated with her being violated is so huge, and the society is responsible in stigmatizing that particular individual. And this is not the case of India. This is the case of the entire world, that an individual commits suicide, or an individual or a woman has been raped or gang raped, and she is so ashamed that this thing has happened, an individual commits suicide. That's also a kind of a murder, they are saying. So one is where there has been a genuine murder and it has been portrayed as a suicide by clever planning. This is number one. Number two is 20% of the cases, they say, are like this, where an individual, by the pressure of society, judiciary, social custom, financial pressure, etc., he or she has been pushed into this. Actually, they would not have ever committed suicide. So 50% of suicides, as they say, are actually general suicides. Others are either this is a murder that has been proved in the court as a suicide, and the person who are involved has gone through, like successfully came out of the court without getting punished. The second is when an individual has been pushed to commit a suicide by various factors. The third, they say 50% of the suicides are general suicides, where an individual, without any pressure from society or without any pressure from other person, has committed suicide. So this part has what I remember, they say that this could be due to some of mental challenges, some kind of psychological issues, some kind of psychological problems. They said people who have committed suicide under these category, which are called the genuine suicides, are possibly due to the reason that they have a suicidal tendency. People who commit suicide have a general tendency of a suicidal tendency. If a particular person has committed suicide, if it is possible to look into his or her history, it will be seen that she has attempted suicide maybe 10, 15 times before. or 10, 12 times before, or at least 7 or 8 times before. It is not that an individual suddenly makes a decision at the point of a moment and commits a suicide. These suicides happen when there is a pressure from someone, a blackmailing or something like that, a stigmatization from the society or stuff, that an individual decides to give up the life. But the other part is where an individual, because of many factors, decided to give up or his or her life, is a process of going through a multiple attempts before a suicide actually happens. And they say that men and women, boys and girls, if you compare them sex wise, girls possibly take more attempts in committing suicide, but their number of suicides are lesser, contrary to what we believe. Men, when they take the decision of suicidal, their determination is stronger. So anyone who has decided to commit a suicide, if it's a man, it is quite genuine that after 2 or 3 attempts, he may give up his life. For women, it may take a few more attempts before they give up their lives. So there is a sex-wise or a gender-wise categorization difference in case of suicide too. The other part of the suicidal cases that they are highlighted is mental trauma and disorder. Some people suffer from various kinds of a mental disorder, trauma. There may be a suicidal history in a family. This is genetic too, that they said that in some rare cases, there has been a history of suicides committed in a particular family. If you look down their history, 5, 6, 7, 8 generation, there could be history of suicides in that particular family, or there could be issues of mental trauma. For example, narcissism is one such issue that they said that in this issue, an individual loves himself or herself so intensely that anyone around them, they take them as their host, or as they behave as a parasite. Their existence depends on the exploitation of the other person. This could be examples of husbands who ruthlessly beat up their wife for no apparent reason. Like, it is not that this person is drunk. It is not that this person is illiterate. It is not that this person do low-lying job, or they are financially drained or something like that. It's a normal educated person in a good position, having responsible, and they could be a sociopath. Like when you talk to them, you could not believe that this person could commit so much atrocious, hateful crime towards the women or their other partner. Many men, they have found, has this tendency or habit of abusing the partner, abusing the women, abusing the children. And then at one point of time, they are frustrated over their life. And suddenly, once that wife may have passed away or something like that, they commit suicide. Why they commit suicide? They're saying they no longer have that host. I used to get the joy of, humiliating another person or beating another person. The pain of the other person is my sustenance in life. I am surviving on the pain of another individual. This is a mental issue. This is a very sincere mental issue. But when that person has passed away, he has no more objective in life. There is no other person he can torment or she can torment. Many times these people commit suicide too. So there are various cases of, various psychological disorders, psychosomatic issues. Psychologists would be possibly able to categorize and highlight them, but these happens. These parts are common. The other part also that happens in our life, is despair and frustration. Like particularly with our modern time, our life is becoming very fast. And we are having a very high expectation in our life. And this is not just case of India. They said that this is all around the world, whether an urban society or a rural society, whether an industrial society or an agricultural society, whether a developed country or an underdeveloped country. This expectation from life is overwhelming too much. And when I am not being able to match up with the dream or match up with my objectives, match up with my target areas, I feel that I am getting behind. So my friends are making so much money. They have very good jobs. They are very well settled, but I am not very well settled. This is what I am thinking, not what actually my situation is. I may be earning 1 lakh rupees per month, but because my friend is earning, say, 2 lakhs, I am thinking my life is futile, useless, because I could not earn as much money. So this habit of scaling my personal life with another person is a very, very wrong idea of philosophy of life. But nonetheless, this is a very common, issues or challenges or problems that we see in our life, where I am not being able to match up with my unrealistic goals. Like I may think I can become the prime minister. I may think I can become a winner in the Olympics and stuff, but not always this could happen. I have to look into the reality of the situation, whether I have that capability to do those things. I am not measuring my strengths and weakness, but I am just measuring myself against the shadow of another individual, which I idealize as a highly successful. Both for men and women, these are individual factors that impact their mind. It adds to their frustration, anger, despair. The other part is that our life is becoming more and more comfortable. We are traveling on our, four-wheelers or two-wheelers. We are not going through this, if you are a middle income, middle range, or a higher income range, you have your car, you have AC at your home, you have AC in your car, you have AC in your office, you have a very comfortable life. But yet I am not happy. I am not happy, they say, is because you are not allowing your happy hormones to release. Happy hormones to release means that you need some physical activity. Just by working at a high position does not make you always happy. You have to move from one place to another. You have to walk, you have to run, you have to have your the whole body system working. If you are only taking the comforts of the life, there are times that lack of exercises, lack of sunlight. In colder countries, there are lots of high amount of suicides. If you go into Arctic regions and stuff, there are lots of reports of suicide, sometimes which do not even get reported to the police. It's because weather, climate, finance, moods, romantic situation or relationships all have impact in our decision, where we start feeling helpless in the sense that you see that there is no hope in your life, there is no next step, there is no ladder, there is no light that you could see. It could be because of a financial situation, it could be because of a failing of an exam, it could be because of losing money in a scam or something like that. It could be because many suicides happen in India by farmers, right? They take a heavy debt from the money lenders and stuff, and by chance there is a crop failure or something like that, they are at a total mess because they could not pay that money back, and their entire family get engrossed by this process. And many farmers, pesticides is very easily available in the farming communities, so they add pesticides to food consume. Sometimes an individual dies, sometimes there is a communal suicide, the entire family including the children being given poison food, and they die very, very sad. But these things happen, and this is also because the government, the society has failed to provide them the security. How much loan does an ordinary farmer need? Very, very little. Where our industrialists are making hundreds and thousands of crores of money from our bank, and then they do not pay. But the bank have this problem of this 5,000 rupees that a farmer has taken has not been able to repay. That's a huge issue. But 5,000 crore taken by an individual who has flown out of India is no issue at all. So if the society or the country or the national financial system does not support people who are in need of a regular debt or a regular money as for lending purposes, so that they can do their business, so that they can do their small farmings and stuff, whether you are rich, whether you are poor, everyone is an individual, everyone has the citizen of a country, should have the right to get a little loan. Some may need 5,000 crores, some may need 500 rupees, some may need 5,000 rupees. You do not know that just 100 rupees, which is nothing in today's economy, can change life in many people's life. A simple 100 rupee can change the life. So where the society fails to provide them with catering, helping them with the resources they need, there are suicides, which is very, very unfortunate. And this type is very common in developing countries, particularly with respect to crop failures where farmers commit suicide and stuff. So this is another very deep impact of the society where people are committing suicide. The other is the student stress and anxiety. Student stress and anxiety is present not just in our country, in other countries too. Our exam systems, our evaluation, our universities and colleges have, unmanageably huge amount of syllabus, a huge amount of expectation of good grades, good points. Not everyone can be a genius. Not everyone can score very high marks. This is not possible. There would be some who are not very good in studies, average, but very good in sports. Some may be a little bit above average in studies. but is a very good painter. We are all very different. Everyone cannot be a class 1 or an A plus student. But the societal pressure or the rat race for the student is so high, and because the parents knowingly or unknowingly, fortunately or most predominantly unfortunately, this comparison of my son with someone else's son or daughter who has done very good, oh, she has gone into medical, she has gone into an engineering or IIT, she has gone onto such a huge job and stuff, what are you doing? These very comparison that we do in our family, and in all countries these happen, this is a very unhealthy way, and this is a very bad tool in pushing many towards suicidal. Particularly, not everyone is mentally very strong. Like, just like our body strength varies, our skin color varies, our height varies, our weight varies, our mental capacity, abilities to withstand pressure, or to be happy or to be able to handle with grief and stuff, differs from one individual to another. You will see an individual, say at the 70s, has lost his wife. He is able to cope up with the life, although that life is not easy. If you lose your life partner at an age of 70 and 75, to cope up with that is not very easy. But some people you will see that are very good in being able to cope up with the loss and still surviving, and some we will see that are extremely broken down, completely lose their heart, and are feel so desperate, so sad and morbid, they either get sick, and sometimes they are provoked towards suicidal attempts too, and sometimes they may get overdose of medication and stuff and commit a suicide. This happens. So it is also important to know that we all need to have an engagement in our life outside our relationship and stuff. If you are a social worker or if you have a hobby and stuff, it is always good second line of defense or second longing in your life that you will be able to move forward. But if your partner is your only hope in life, there comes a point when that particular person is gone, your life becomes completely empty. So you have to either adapt or you have to learn so that you can survive on your own, or you have other engagements too, that one particular loss in life does not devastate you very significantly. In Japan and other countries where the aging populations are becoming so high, there are cases where people have been found they are doing intentional fasting. An individual's wife has passed away and he was so grief-stricken that he stayed in the home, but he slowly reduced his food contained or medicine taking and stuff stepwise in such a significant manner that an individual died over the time. Or a lady who has lost her husband at a ripe age started to cut down on her medication, cut down on her food and other lifelong activities and stuff, and started to feel bad, and then they lost and she lost. This is also another kind of suicide. So in short, it is important to understand that life is a huge challenge. Life is a huge challenge in the sense that no matter how we look into life, there is always going to be significant challenges, and life will not move always in the direction in which we plan. There will be always much changes happening in our life, unexpected breakdowns, unexpected lapses. One has to learn to adopt it. Even if you look into the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, one of the main teaching that Sri Krishna has provided to Arjun is to stay focused and not to be overtaken by grief and not to be overjoyed at the success. This is a very, very important learning. I'll conclude by saying that Arjuna was one of the greatest fighter, and he has Sri Krishna as his chariot drawer, and he could guide him through the entire war of the Kurukshetra. We are not that fortunate. We are not that lucky to go through that chariot in our life. But remember, this is how I look at analogically, that we are all driving a horse-ridden chariot in our life with 4 horses, and there is no Lord Krishna to, run the chariot. I myself has to run the chariot. So what these 4 horses represent? I define them as one of the horses that is drawing your chariot of life is yourself, who you are. Who you actually inside and out, what exact individual you are, is represented by one horse. The second horse represents the mask that you are putting in self and showing to the society as an individual, this is what I am. This is your fake appearance. This is not what you are. The third horse represents how the society looks at you. How I may try and try to show the society I am very smart, but the society may not have the same view about me. And the fourth is what you think you are. These four horses are drawing your chariot. And remember, drawing four-horse chariot is not easy. You have to know how to relax the string at one point and how to hold them back. If any of the horse goes out of the line, your chariot will overturn. So one has to remember to drive the chariot of life, as has been taught in our scriptures, particularly in Bhagavad Gita, where a very nice presentation of life and view of life is given, that this life is only a beginning, and it never comes to an end. When you are passing away, you are just throwing away a cloth, and with your new life, you are just putting a new cloth. It goes on in incessant cycle. So try and complete and face the pains and gains that you have in this life. Do not try to escape and move into your next life. So what was directed, the pains that were directed for you in this life, Gita says, will come back to you again in your next life. So do not run away from life, but face them boldly. If you face your problems and challenges boldly, you will be able to solve most of them. May not be instant, may take a few years and stuff, but you will be able to overcome your problems. So thinking positive, having exercises, taking healthy food, reading books, and doing exercises, and being out in nature, whether it is cold, whether you feel cold, or whether you get the warm sunshine, or whether you get drenched in the rain, is very, very important to feel the nature over your body, so that you understand the realization of the world around you, so that you understand the vibration of the world around you, is very important for suicide prevention. And it is always important. Vivekananda ji said, we are what our thoughts are. So if I think negative, I'll turn into a negative person. If I start thinking positive, I'll start becoming a positive person. So Usain Bolt, one of the greatest sprinter, always said that even before winning the race, I knew in my mind, I am the winner. And hence I am the winner, because I believe in my ability that I am the only winner. No one can surpass me. This confidence has boosted me. He said, the person who is becoming second is no less worse than me. He may be better than me, but I have faith in myself. I see even before starting the run that I am winning the gold. This gives me the gold. No, my training, my physique, my circumstances, the trainings that I have received, all are important. But at the end, it is my determination that differs from being first and second. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share my views, and look forward to again come back tomorrow. We have a few lectures coming up. Thank you very much, Sharma.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to invite now Sutpaji. Sutpaji, welcome. Welcome.
Yeah, very good evening. I think we have heard so much from our learned friends and professors and doctors, that I really do not have anything to say. But from whatever we heard from Dr. Basu, he had actually covered it end to end. And I, as a mental health professional, if I think how this mental health works, so he was talking of situations whereby we do see people who are suffering, who are thinking of giving up their life. So the only thing, like, I've come across cases whereby we feel that people are having suicidal thoughts. And as we see the life cycle, usually the suicidal thoughts start coming from an age of adolescence. Like, when do we have it? So adolescence is the first stage when we come to understand the cognition, or the independent thinking part comes into a person's mind. So till the age of 8, 9, 10, a child, whether it be a boy or a girl, he or she will be listening to the parent. He or she will be very obedient, just doing what he or she is being told, or what she has been is directed. But gradually, as the person or the child moves on to the adolescence period, he tries to build with his cognition ability what is right, what is wrong, and that is exactly a point where the clash starts. So when the clash is so much that he or she cannot cope up, whether it be mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and once again, as I always talk in a biopsychosocial model. So that's where the coping mechanism comes, and that's where the art of suicide, or the thought of suicide, or the act of suicide comes into play. And I all that I can say is, when do a person have a suicidal thought from a mental health point of view? Like, what do we do? Like, if we do not need a thing, we just throw it apart. So suppose I'm writing something or a piece of paper or something, I just throw it in the dustbin. So that is no more required in my life. So similarly, when a situation comes and when I start feeling, standing in front of the mirror, what have I done to myself, to the society, to my near and dear ones, and I am of no value? That is exactly a point where I start having the suicidal thoughts. So coming back to a situation whereby we talked of the Dahej, the dowry part. So this is a time when I cannot think of coping up. I really do not know what to do with myself. I really do not know how I will be able to heal myself or take care of myself. So what do I do? Like, I just throw it away. So if I cannot take care of a thing, I just throw it away. It's no more needed. So that's how I try to give up my life. Similarly, when I grow up in a situation whereby I feel like I am in a situation whereby I cannot take control of the situation. Like, I am so poor that I had to sell off my children, because just for the sake of sustaining, or I cannot bring in the bread and butter every day. So a poor father feels the only way I can escape, from this challenge of life, from this mental agony, is committing a suicide. So basically, suicidal thoughts are thoughts that come to a person's mind in order to escape from the situation, in order to run from the situation, and a sense of hopelessness, a sense of like, not being able to do something. So very important. Like, now, prevention of suicide is not easy. Like, if you are mentally a chronic patient with lot of suicidal thoughts, and let me tell you, these suicidal thoughts are very genetic. I have come across situations and also known people whereby there have been history of suicides happening. And it's not that the child knows that my father committed a suicide or my grandfather has committed a suicide. And that's how I start thinking that I'm having a genetic disease of being suicidal. So it's not that, but we have seen in a track record, we have seen from a statistical point of view that sometimes it does happen in the genetic environment, that the history of suicides repeats in a family. So that's very true. Similarly, like with all the agony and all the social pressurization, all the other areas where a person really cannot cope up with himself or herself, that's where the suicide thoughts come. And I have handled one or two cases of suicidal thoughts, and fortunately or unfortunately, I could bring them back, but it is very, very terrorizing. At the same time, I can tell you, there have been also instances when the child has particularly, demonstrated having suicidal thoughts to the parents, just to bring into the agony of the parents. You know, so I just had a one child from one of the very, very esteemed university, very good child. He initially had a suicidal thought, so he tried to commit a suicide, and of course, like, it was just for the sake of ending, because he could not cope with certain things. He did not want to do what he wanted to do. But later on, he realized that this was one of the areas where he could blackmail his parents. So it's very difficult, like, as a mental health professional, to understand how this person is thinking about suicide, how this person is, like, visualizing his suicide, whether he's taking it as an advantage or whether he's taking actually to bring an end to his life, is very difficult for a mental health professional or a psychologist. So you have to deal with this case, explain with the case, and the only thing which we say, like, suicidal thoughts which are not genetic in nature, but usually caused by tremendous mental pressure, social pressure. We do tell the parents, or we do tell the significant others, to keep a watch on the person, and to make them feel that they are not alone in this world. They are being cared. They are being attended. So they become attention seekers also. So these are areas which we take care, and as we heard from everybody, like, society is a very difficult place to say, but at the same time, society is the best place to stay. So, how we deal with us ourselves, how we do our networking, how we communicate, and how we keep ourselves busy is one of the biggest and the best way, for us to, if not prevent suicide, but at least find a better meaning of life, as a result of which we will ensure that we do not end our life in a premature way, but we do justice to our life, we do justice to the society. Life is precious, it is very small, so we should take care, what we can do best in life, and not only for myself, but for the larger part of the society. So, with this, I think I would like to end. And as we know, currently, with whatever is going on in West Bengal, time is very difficult. It's with a heavy heart. Probably this particular topic does touch our mind. There are situations where we have seen people making up, killing people, but trying to show it as a suicide, or even, near and dear ones who cannot cope up with the loss, sometimes committing suicide. So there are various phases, of committing suicide, and this is one of the deadliest things which can happen. And I remember there was also a Bengali cinema, so that one of the person went to commit a suicide. So sometimes we just commit suicide for the sake of committing. So the cinema shows that he was taken away to a institution where the man told the woman that I will show you different people who had committed suicide earlier, tried to commit suicide, and the different arts of committing suicide. So that's how, the different types of suicide, and how we can get really turmoil and really very fascinated with the different arts. And ultimately, what happened is the person who was trying to show the other person different types of suicide was actually a cancer survivor or a cancer fighter, and he actually died. So that's what we want to show to the person. And if we can show to a suicide, mm, a person who is wanting to commit suicide, that life is beautiful, you have so much to give, you have so much to take. So I think that's one of the biggest message which we can, which we can honestly, with our heart, carry on to the person, and help in the prevention of suicide. So with this, with a very heavy heart, I thank Ayush once again for all the sensitive, all the touchy topics we talk, and every time I take back a lot of learnings from here, and my heartfelt gratitude to each and everyone here. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you very much. Very nicely explained. All of you three explained very nicely. Agnihotri sir.
Really, it's a very thought-provoking concept given by all the three guest speakers, and especially this is such a evil that the status of that mental situation at the time of the thought comes with the full force. That is that high time when it should be avoided and preventively. So many peacekeeping things are there which can be observed in the life. So the aims of life we maintain. Dr. Shekhar Masuji wonderfully given the simile with the chariot and shown that that is to be driven by the individual himself. So we have to be very careful. Intelligently, we have to complete our life with all the means greetings of our elders and those who are our well-wishers and those who are our they give us our motivation for the good quality life and useful life for the society, as it is talked in our church also. Hitayu Sukhai. Then Dirghai. That is very important. Thank you so much.
पिछले 953 था हिंदी दिवस सर। अब हमारा हिंदी दिवस 1756 पे 1762 पे होगा, 66 पे। तो लगभग 810 वेबिनार पिछले एक साल में हम लोग कर चुके हो।
14 सितंबर को नहीं, आपको काउंटिंग रखना बेकार। तो वो जो करेंसी काउंटिंग मशीन आती है ना, उसको रखना पड़ेगा। वो हमारे वो हमारे हमारे वीडियोस का कैसेट को है लगाए, उसमें ऐसा कोई सॉकेट हो, उसमें डाले, फिर वो काउंट करें कितने हुए। जैसे जैसे आपने जितने पान खाए गिने नहीं होंगे कितने पान खाए, वही 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 आप निकाल रहे हैं इस पर। हमारी वो नंबर ऑफ एपिसोड जो उतने ही होते जा रहे हैं,
हम तो
अनकाउंटेड।
चाहते हैं शैकत बसु जी हमारी ओटीटी का चार्ज ले लें। जिस दिन
हाँ,
वो हाँ बोल देंगे हम लोग ओटीटी शुरू कर देंगे। शैकत
उस
जी
दिन
सुन रहे हैं?
नहीं नहीं, उस दिन आप अपना जीएसटी नंबर भी ले लेंगे। ये
करेंगे
कोरी
करेंगे।
कोरी
हाँ, हाँ।
कागजी कार्रवाई नहीं होगी, कोरी कोरी का ही, उसमें तो आपका लेन देन भी चलेगा ना, तो सरकार की भी सेवा करेंगे।
ठीक ठीक,
सच्ची में
करेंगे करेंगे।
मतलब शैकत जी
हाँ बोलिए।
बढ़िया बढ़िया थॉट आ रहे
ऐसे इसका चार्ज लीजिए, मजा आ जाए जिंदगी
ठीक है, हो जाएगा।
का। हाँ,
बैठ
वाकई
के तो
में।
डिस्कस करके और
मैं
ऑर्गेनाइज कर लेंगे, कोई बात नहीं।
हैं।
मैं इस बार फॉर्चुनेटली बहुत दिन वहां हूँ। आप हैं क्या बंगाल?